Hello everyone. Today I wanted to go over all of the tutorial that you get to do when you first start a new character on a new server. These tutorials aren't that difficult, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody is very clear on how to get through them. And that way it will unlock all of the game for us and we can start working on actually exploring, starting our villages, building, and crafting. So when you first log in, this is what you see. You get a very quick tutorial thing up in the top left telling you how to get your mouse cursor to interact with menus, uh, how to move around the world, W, S, A, and D, and using space to jump. So I just need to do that. So I hit tab. Now I have a mouse cursor that will let me click on the various things like the mini map. By closing most windows, you'll lose the mouse cursor and go back to mouse look. Then I need to move around the world. So forward, backwards, left and right. And I can also jump, so let's find something we can jump up on. Oh, jump up on this rock. When you finish a tutorial, it'll automatically go away and replace itself with more tutorials until you complete all of them. So let's see what they are. So we're going to hit tab to get our mouse. We can come over here and click on them to see what it wants us to do. So this one's asking us to look at the meteor. Let's see if the meteor's out right now. Oh, there it is. When you spot the meteor, it does a little cinematic to kind of talk about the game and what's happening. You can watch this on your own time, or you can watch it here. I'm going to kind of skip through it pretty quickly because I want to talk about other things. Main gist is there's a meteor. We need to blow it up, or it's going to destroy our planet. But it's going to take a lot of work together to get that done. All right. Now that one's gone, we've got two new tutorials. I'm going to start with this one first, which is the world view, or how to use the map. So the map is very handy. It's all in real time, so as people are moving around, you'll see little icons of other people moving around a map when people are playing. And you get lots of environmental and markers and other settings you can do to help you find the things you want to find or find the people you want to find. So we're going to look at environmental data, and we want to select an option to look at. Let's choose a plant. So you can see there's population and there's yield population. The idea here is that this will tell me where it is currently, and this will tell me where is a good area to grow that plant. So if I'm a farmer and I want to start growing agave, I need to start plotting land over here. So that's how those two things work, and that's for pretty much all of the various plants. You can also use it to find animals. Where's our bighorn sheep? Oh, there's some bighorn sheep right here. And the wider it is, the more concentrated. So that's like the highest level of bighorn sheep. And it'll kind of do a heat map out into the less populated areas. Alright, and then it wants us to make a marker. So markers are useful when you want to give people or yourself a place to go. So I'm going to drop a marker right here, and I can name it. I can choose who to see it, visible to everybody or just myself. I can change the color of it. Let's set to brown, and I give a title starting point. There we go. I can zoom in with my mouse wheel, and there it is. So you'll notice it didn't put the marker on me. It put the marker where the center of my map was. So if I move over here, I can drop another marker. And if I want to delete a marker, I need to select it and then say remove. And you'll notice it put me back into mouse view. I've got to hit tab again to get my cursor back. Okay, so we can remove that one. Don't need it anymore. And that was the tutorial. So making markers and looking at environmental data. All right, what's the next tutorial? It's setting up camp. So it looks like I started with nothing in my action bar. down here. This is very much like Minecraft. You'll put items in here, and you'll use the number keys 1 through 0 at the top of the keyboard to select them, or you can also use your mouse wheel to scroll through them. But unlike Minecraft, I am carrying a backpack. And these backpacks, you can get bigger ones that can carry more stuff as the game progresses, but right now you start off with a pretty simple backpack. And so I can push the B button on the keyboard, or I can hit tab, get the mouse cursor, and click over here. And it wants me to drag the starter camp. Right there. Gives me a big arrow. I can close the backpack now. And then I want to select it with the 1 button. And so now you can see it's giving me the option of where do I want to place it. It'll tell you if you can't place it somewhere, generally by just giving you a message saying that's not allowed. But you can pretty much place it on top of most plants. It'll just destroy the plant. And so let's see right here. And here's our starter camp. And a starter camp is very useful. It comes with a small stockpile, and it comes with a bed, and it comes with a small crafting table. Alright, so let's see what our next tutorial is. Oh, property. So normally when you place an object in public, unless they're placed on land you own, anybody can come and interact with it. The tent is a little bit special because it actually creates a little area that you now own when you place it. So you can't place 2 starting camps on top of each other from another player. It will tell you that this person already owns the land around it, and we'll get to that in a bit. All right. If you want to share just about anything in this game, not just the campsite, but just about anything, authorization will do this. So it starts out, you have to add users 1 at a time. As the game progresses and we start getting other like towns and groups created, you can start adding by that. So if you found a city and people join that city, you can say this plot will be available to everybody in that city. So yeah. And let's see here. Click on the property name. There we go. So right here, I click on the name, and I can see the property deed. And I could actually delete this deed, or I can actually make it into an inventory item. And you can give property. You can trade property between players. So it's pretty nifty. All right, so enough of that. Getting equipped. All right, so we do have a small storage space in this campsite. Let's see, there's a lot of different things up here. So crafting, a bed, and storage. And so I want to take all of this stuff. So I'm just going to click on it, my left mouse button. Okay. And it's telling us to select the hatchet. All right. So now I've got a hatchet, and it's good for logging. There's also a shovel, which is good for digging up things. There's a stone hammer, which you'll use to place things. So when you start building a house, you'll use the hammer. And the stone pickaxe to mine things. And those are your basic starting tools. We also get a torch. You select the torch. You'll have a little bit more light at nighttime. Right now it's still pretty light out, so not a big difference. And also a torch stand, which, like this, I can place. And then I can here. There we go. And oh, that's right, it needs fuel. So we'll take it back. So you need some coal to make that useful. Alright, I'll get back to that later. Alright, so stockpiles are one of the big differences from people coming from Minecraft. A stockpile is going to be a physical location that holds all the things you mine. So, Minecraft had a chest, and you put everything into that chest, regardless of how well it fit. Uh, in this game, chests are available, but they'll hold smaller items. So you'll put food inside of them, you'll put like plant seeds inside of them. But when you start cutting lumber and you start mining, those things all go into stockpiles, and you can create different sizes of them, but they're very useful for holding items. You link them up to crafting tables, so you can use the resources in them automatically to craft, and you can also set them to be shared again. So you can have one stockpile that's private and another stockpile you set up that you share with a friend. Um, they're very useful once you start getting used to how they work. So this quest, it wants us to chop a tree, and after we chop a tree, we have to fell the log into pieces, and then we have to pick those pieces up and bring them to the stockpile. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna move over this tree. You'll see I can't chop the trunk just yet. I need to chop the tree down. So just like Minecraft, just wail away it for a little bit, and then it will start falling over. So it actually runs into things. It'll break into pieces. It leaves a bunch of stuff on the ground. And you'll see right now this is a yellow log, and I can't hit E to pick it up. It says remove all the branches first and make it smaller. So what we want to do is we want to chop it into small pieces. This is called felling the log. And take the pieces over. You see I'm carrying 10 pieces of lumber. You can't carry everything. You're actually limited by how heavy things are. I put them in my stockpile. So let's go ahead and finish felling this log. Oh, of course it would fall down. Alright. So now we got some logs in our stockpile, and it wants us to hew them, which is basically to turn them from raw logs into lumber. A very general term for a very hard sort of lumber. It'll still be like a log, just taking off all the rough edges. So crafting, again, it's kind of like Minecraft. You're gonna need materials, you'll put them into there and start a job. And the nice thing is that stockpiles can be shared between workbenches, so as you create one type of new resource, you can automatically go to this other resource and combine them, or use another crafting table to combine them in some way. So let's get started. So we want a workbench. So I can choose how many I want to order. It'll tell me how much time it will take to make this order and how many resources I would need to make it. So the first one is just how much I have available, and the second number is how much I need. So you can see that number goes up. The number on the left will go red when I don't have enough of a resource. So let's go ahead and order. All my work down here is listed. If I wanted to add another, you'll see it's now a second job. If I put 4 in here, you would see this one have like a little 4 in the corner, saying I'm making 4 for this job. But I don't want to make 2 workbenches. So I can right click and cancel any task. I can also drag and drop between them to move them around if I want to make one thing before another. Alright, it finished. And the finished product goes into the stockpile. And I'll drag it over to my inventory. And with the workbench, I can put this outside. Let's just put it right here. Open it up, and now you can see I have a lot of the starting items to be made. We have new tools, we have some advanced option things. So you'll see this is like some specialty stuff, and we're going to get to jobs pretty shortly here, but this is a crafting table. There's a lot here. You see there's storage. I can link inventories of where I want it to get its resources from, in case I want to keep one set of logs separate. There's some currency stuff we'll talk about much later on. And again, I could also authorize people um, to use this. If I wanted to say my friend can use my workbench or I want him to use other things, uh, you can do that. Remember, the if you do that, they can also use the storage you link to the item. So be careful about letting somebody use your workbench because then they can just use all your wood. Alright. So it wants us to do the hewn log. So let's do an order for hewn log. Here's hewn log. And we're gonna let's make 5. So it starts going. And I just want the first one to finish to complete the test. Alright. And I picked it up. So now I have a hewn log. And this is what you can do with hewn log. So now I have a hammer. And when you have a hammer, and you're carrying logs or other things you can build with, like stone, you can choose by holding on shift and scrolling the wheel what you want to make. Stairs, windows, ladders, a column, a roof, a cube, a wall, or a floor. So as you're building your houses, even though it's all going to be starting out probably hewn log houses, you can really be creative on how it's going to look, where you put windows, where you put doors. Do you want some columns in the center of the room? Do you want to have just a blocks to fill in space? So there's a lot of stuff you can do. And as you get more advanced items, you have a few more options here. All right. All right, so we finished that. Let's talk about food next. So it's going to tell me I need to collect 2 things. This changes based on where you spawn in the world. It's going to try and find things close to you. So not everybody will be finding prickly pears and beets. So let's go see if we can find some prickly pears. Oh, and I don't need to be carrying it. The log. So I'll put that back in the stockpile. Okay. Oh, looks like I found some prickly pears. So most of these plants you'll walk up to, and if they've got the fruit available, you'll see when I harvest them, the plant stays for some of these, and other ones it will just disappear. It just depends on what you're harvesting. So I got prickly pear. Where's beets? So if I want to find beets, you'll notice it gave me a marker on the map, but I could also pull up the map, go to environmental data, find the plant, show me the beets population, and so there's some beets. And I could just walk on over there. With the map open, it's very difficult to see. So you can minimize that a bit. And you can jump about 2 blocks of height. Okay, so with beets, you'll see they're gone. I'm not going to get new beets later on. The prickly pear will regrow the fruit after an amount of time has passed. But when I got the beets, I also got... Did they give me any seeds? No, it didn't give me any seeds. Sometimes you'll get seeds when you harvest those types of things, and you can regrow them in a garden. Alright, so the food. Now that we have harvested our food, we're going to start getting the nutrition meter in the bottom left. And nutrition is very important to how you kind of level up in this game. Because nutrition and your house are kind of a multiplier together of how fast you're going to get experience points and get the ability to get new jobs and stuff. So let's look at what it says here. So for better quality, you want to eat a balanced diet and not eat the same food over and over again. A balanced diet will also mean that you have a good selection of carbohydrates, protein, fats, and vitamins. And so optimal balance is obviously 25% of each. And one of the jobs in this game is being a chef, and it's a very, very important job because you'll take the food and render it into more advanced foods that are better suited to give people a balanced diet. And then now because we have our nutrition bar, as I do activity, as I run around, as I chop things down, I will use up my calories. And if it gets too low, I can't do jobs like chopping. It'll tell you, hey, you don't have enough inert calories, you need to go eat. So you do need to kind of carry food with you when you're doing a big job, or have somebody deliver some food to you. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see what our foods contain. So beets. Beets are, high in vitamins, but they're pretty much low in fat and protein and just a little bit of carbs. And, or is that our prickly pear? That's our prickly pear. Beets are high in carbs, high in vitamins, low in protein fats. And tomatoes have no fats, but a lot of carbs and a lot of vitamins. You'll get most of your fats from either things like beets and some other vegetables, or animals that people will hunt and butcher and cook. Um, there is no way to die in this game, in case you didn't know that. You cannot die. Um, so hunting is just to gather food, but you have to be careful because you can overhunt. You can reduce the population of an animal very, very low so that it doesn't exist, and that could affect other populations. If you hunt all the wolves that were eating all the rabbits, then the rabbit population might, get out of hand, and rabbits will come over and eat your garden if they get the chance. If you kill all the rabbits and then the wolves have nothing to eat, they might starve. So this game very much takes into effect, your actions have, an effect on the world. Okay, so let's eat this. You just select the food you want, and then you right click to eat it. You'll see I ate all the prickly pear. I'll eat some raw beets. I don't recommend that. And I'll eat some tomatoes. And now I've got my nutritional bar is pretty full, but you can see I'm lacking in protein and fats. Okay, and let's go with that. The next one, let's do the claiming land. So claiming land is important. This lets you, again, set the ability to restrict who can do what with things. So I'm going to claim the land with this tool. If I open my backpack, you'll see I have a certain number of land claim papers. So each one of those papers is what lets me take one of these little squares. As you level up, you'll get more of these, and I believe you can also eventually purchase them when somebody creates a real estate store. So I'm going to take the area around my camp. Alright, this looks pretty good. And so once I get off of it, so now remember I couldn't actually set authorization on this table because it wasn't in my property. Now that it's on my land, I can choose who gets to use it. So that's very important. If I put a stockpile outside of my property, everybody can use it. They can all put stuff in there and they can all take stuff out. If you put your claim down, then you get to choose who can take stuff out and who can put stuff in. So, all right. Let's see, next one. Crafting. So, building requires both a hammer and a materials for blocks. You can change, like I showed you with the scroll wheel, hold down shift. When you build a house, there's a few requirements. You can have a maximum of 2 blocks of empty space in the walls, so basically enough room to walk through. And you can have a maximum of 2 spaces horizontally or vertically for windows, in a sense. Later on, you can just build windows and put them in instead of having an open space. But this is basically saying if you have a house where the openings are too big, it will not count that room towards you. And that becomes important because your house is how you get, again, experience points based on your nutrition level and the quality of your house. So we'll talk about more in class, but just remember that try and keep openings to your walls very small. And you can't have any holes in your roof. You do have to have a real roof put together. Collect at least 4 human logs in hand, and again where needed. Okay, so it wants us to grab the rest of those human logs, and it wants us to place them down with a hammer. And let's just start with a floor. Let's see where is it? There we go. Yeah. Let's go over the back side over here. So I just right click. There we go. That's the start of my house's floor. So you'll notice you do have to get quite a bit of logs to create a floor or to create a house. So just be aware, people are going to be harvesting a lot of trees early on, and it's a good idea to, after you harvest a tree, to plant a new one so that it can grow over the next week. And that way you'll have more trees available next week to harvest. All right, mining. Mining is a little bit different than normal games. So when you want to mine, you'll see there's different types of rocks. This is going to be an ore, and this is just going to be your limestone. So you break into pieces. You'll see just like the tree, some pieces are too big. You have to break them up. You pick them up, and then you can run back and throw them into your stockpile. Your stockpiles can hold a mix of things. You don't have to have just one type of item in the stockpile. Over here. And you'll notice over in this corner, you'll see me using up calories as I do things. All right. So we've got some ore mined, and then we got dig, target the ground, and place dirt. Yeah. So dirt is, let's see here. There we go. Nothing in this game is like Minecraft where you can just delete it, because there's pollution, and we can't just delete the pollution. The same with dirt. If you're gonna dig dirt, I can't dig more than one at a time, and I've got to put it down somewhere. Later on, when you get like carts and other things, you can dig them and put into dirt, into a cart, and you can also put it into things like those stuff. But for right now, I cannot put it into that stockpile, so I just dig it like that. Yeah, so dig up dirt, move it around. You'll mostly do it when you're trying to build into a mountain or something. You'll have to move a lot of dirt. And finally, build a house. Collect more wood, craft into hewn logs, and fully enclose a room with walls and ceilings. So that's going to be the end of this video. To basically do that would take me a whole lot of time. We're all going to be doing that, and I'll be helping you with your starting houses on the first day of class. I think the first day of class, some people might get close to finishing their house, but I don't think they will. It does take quite a bit of time and effort to kind of get everything right and get it all working. But I think by the second week, we will definitely all have houses, and we can start moving in, decorating them, and choosing our jobs. So my next video will be all about the jobs and how that works out for people, and what we want to kind of think about on that probably the second week when people start getting their very first skill point and what kind of job do they want to specialize in, and talking to a team and getting more organized, because we don't want to have 24 people that want to chop down trees, because then nobody can farm and nobody is going to be very good at cooking. So we'll talk about that more in class, but yeah, I hope this was informational. I hope this helped you kind of understand what we're going to start doing the very first week, and I can't wait to see you guys there. Bye.